What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to discuss what pressure from Africa, from family, from friends, from relatives do to Africans who reside abroad. Africans abroad are passing through a lot, but our people back home don't actually understand how life is here. The two things that they do to their sons and daughters are constant demand, outrageous demands that come from Africa because you reside abroad. And two is comparison. They compare you with some other person. They compare you with someone else's child that left Africa 3 months ago and has returned with truckload of money. So these two things our people back home do to their sons and daughters abroad are causing a lot of problem for them. It's leading them into crime and it's landing them in different jails all over the world. If you look at Africans in China, look at Africans in Malaysia, those in Indonesia, is it in Jakarta, is it in Thailand, Cambodia? These are the places that our youths have found as a hotbed to commit crime so that they can live the kind of lives their people, their parents, their friends and relatives want them to live. They keep demanding money from you every now and then. If you see a call that is coming from Africa, your mind will skip. You can't even be able to take the call because you don't know the next demand that will be coming your way. They keep calling you every now and then, asking you to send money, heaping their problems on you, leaving their own problems and multiplying it overnight and heaping everything on you because you are based abroad. They forgot that life is the same wherever you are in the world. If your father, your mother, your brother is facing a problem there in Africa, that you're also facing a problem in America, in Canada, in UK or in Europe, anywhere in Europe, that you also have your own problems. And they have not asked, what do you do where you are? They have not asked, that person they are comparing you with, what does that person do? Is this person working? Is the other one into illegal activities? That's one thing that they have forgotten to ask. And one thing I want to remind you is that if you are in jail, your parents will not die in Africa, your friends will not die in Africa, and your relatives will not die. Life goes on. Many of them will even in turn mock you that, look at this one, the other one has been doing this and has not been caught. You just did it once and you are caught. So if you are in jail, life goes on. If you are in jail, the little that you have done in Africa will be vandalized. The little money that you have sent to them in the past will be forgotten. All that you have done will be forgotten because you are no longer doing what you used to do. Pressure from Africa is causing a lot of problems for Africans, Nigerians in diaspora. It's leading them into crime, making them to commit fraudulent activities, making them to go into drug dealing, making them to go into controlled substances, those things that the white man, the international community frown at. Because we want to satisfy our people back home, that's why you see African youths go into all of this. And if you're caught, you may spend 20 years of your life in prison, or you may even spend the rest of your life in prison, but life goes on back there in Africa. They continue living, they continue bubbling as usual, like nothing happened. You'll be forgotten. So it's one thing I want people to understand. You don't, because your parents, your people call you every now and then, telling you that this your friend just bought 3 cars at the same time. This one just erected 500 duplexes at the same time. You don't need to go into crime because of all this. And people in Africa should stop encouraging their people, inciting them, instigating them, sending them videos of convoy of someone that just returned from Malaysia, sending you photos of houses that somebody that left Africa 6 months ago just built in Africa. You don't know what they do. You don't know if they are selling kidneys. You don't know if they are selling lungs or even selling human beings. You don't know what they do wherever they are. You don't know what that your friend or someone you know in Indonesia is doing. So don't compare your child, your son, your daughter with someone else's child, because life is different. We are built different. We are not the same. What I do and go scot-free, you might do it and be caught. That's one thing I want people to understand. Our destinies are not the same. Our lives are not the same. The way we are designed are not the same. All these fingers are not equal. I will do the one I can while you do the one you can. Don't multiply your problems because you have a son who lives abroad. Don't multiply your problems and heap it on your brother who resides abroad. Don't take the money that your brother is sending to you to do something for him and convert it to your own. You send money to your brother or your sister to help you build a house. As you're sending that money instrumentally, gradually, gently as it comes, your sister or your brother will be diverting that money, using it for his or her personal project. When you return to Africa and ask, where is my project? Where is my property? It's either you are killed or they ask you to go to the court. So many things are happening. I've seen a guy who has spent so many years abroad, but his brother that he keeps sending money to has 2 buildings in Abuja. Him that is sending all this money has no block in Africa. He has not been able to achieve anything because they keep calling him to send money for this, send money for that. When their mother died, the whole burial arrangement was like the whole world was coming for the burial. They gave him a huge bill. This man was crying. Where is he going to get this money? Because he lives abroad. That's what they believe. They don't think that you that reside abroad, you have your own problems. They don't ask, do you eat? They don't ask, do you have a shelter? Do you have a roof over your head? They don't ask, do you pay transport to work? They don't ask, what kind of work do you do? They don't ask all these questions. They only want you to come back with a long convoy, moving around with police escort, blowing siren everywhere. That's what they want. But it's not like that. Those that live that kind of life, check them very well. If they return to Nigeria, most of them don't go back. If they return to Nigeria, many don't go back to where they came from. And these guys are people that are in fast lane. If they return, they will start looking for another country where no one knows them. Some even escape from the airport because they don't want to be caught. Some jump from 2-story buildings because they don't want to be caught, because they know what they have committed. And many kill themselves because of greed. So that's one thing I want Africans in Africa to understand about their brothers and sisters who live abroad. If you start comparing your daughter who is living abroad with another person's daughter who is doing this and that, you're asking your daughter who is doing her legitimate work abroad to go into prostitution. You're forcing her to do those things that she frowned at because she wants to satisfy your needs. It's not like that. This is not life. You don't encourage what is bad because you want to live a selfish life. They keep demanding, keep asking for money, and they don't want to know where the money comes from. Someone said that if he comes abroad and sees a white man with a briefcase, that if he takes him chopping off the head and run away with the briefcase, he will do it. I laughed at him and asked, guy, do you think it's that easy? Do you think you'll be seeing a white man walking the street with briefcase full of money? It's not like that. This is a cashless society. The people that you see packing money abroad are those that do wire transfer and those that are into internet fraud. These are the people that you see packing money. And if you're caught, you know what awaits you. If you're caught, you go to jail. And that your brother, that your sister, your parents, or your friend or relative, or even that girlfriend or wife that you are doing all these things for, will keep living. And if you're doing illegal things just to make your wife feel much comfortable in Africa, if you go to jail, another man will take care of your wife. That's obvious. That's the truth. If you want to live large and you want other women to respect your wife because her husband lives abroad, if you go to jail, another man will be driving your wife. That's one thing I want you to understand. Those things that you can't be able to do from jail, a man somewhere will be doing it for her. Your engine that is parked in Africa for you will be driven by another man. Someone will be oily greasing that engine for you in your absence. And your own suffering will be taken care by you alone and no one will help you. If you ask your parents, your brothers and sisters to assist you with prayers in Africa, they will link you with a prophet or a pastor who has a tailpipe that will siphon the life out of you. All your income will be now channeled to the account of that pastor. That's how Africa is. And they forgot that all these things that they are doing is to tarnish the image of Nigerians and Africans in general who reside abroad. If you come out and a white man or a white woman sees you and say, where do you come from? And you say Nigeria, Nigeria, instantly the person's countenance will change. If there is a favor that you're supposed to have received from meeting that person, that contact will be destroyed because you mentioned where you come from. The name Nigeria is like an abomination in the eyes of every Western human being. They don't want to hear that name Nigeria because the name has been polluted because of the activities of our brothers and sisters who are in the Western world. Because we want to make it so big and impress our relatives, our friends and relations, wherever they are. We go into those things that will land us in prison and they will keep living their life there. Your brother or your sister will be having 5, 6 children because he has a brother or a friend who is abroad. So that by the time these kids are growing up, their academic load will be transferred to you. And they forgot that maybe you have your own family, or maybe you're planning to raise your own family. They don't want to know how you live your own life. They care about themselves. They want you to live your life for them. They don't care about if you achieve anything in your own life. Rather, they want your effort, your suffering, the hours that you put in work to be, harnessed by them. They want everything that you're suffering for here to be given to them so that they'll be living a good life while you're lavishing in hunger and poverty abroad. That's the kind of life they want for you. If you have sense, if you're sane enough, you have to make them understand that life abroad is not easy, that their constant demand must be stopped. They have to reduce the number of times they call you. You can call your brother or your sister and ask, how are you? There is nothing wrong in it. You must not call your brother or your sister or your son to tell them that you need money to take care of your health, you need money to service your car, you need money for this and that, you need money for a generator, you need money to buy fuel for generator that your son bought for you also. Some of these people that are making these demands are earning so well in Nigeria and other parts of Africa. They are doing so well, but they still channel their problems, multiply their problems by 10 or 20 and heap it on you. If you say you don't have money, they will call you a wicked person. They will tell you how this person's son just bought 3 SUVs for his parents. They will tell you how this person's daughter just built a send down the rain for the parents or bought this house for their parents in Lekki. What are you doing? Are you a failure? That you have failed? They will call you an irresponsible child. It's not your portion. You are not a failure. You are not an irresponsible son. But make them understand that you have your own problems too. That you need to live your own life, not to live your life for them. They have their own lives to live. You need to live your own life too. You need to set up your own family. Take care of your own kids. Having kids abroad is like training 3 families in Africa. Having one family, maybe 2 or 3 kids abroad, is like you're training 5 or 6 persons in high institution in Africa. That's how difficult it is. You pay for so many things. If your kids are growing up, you start paying for games. Those that want to play football, dancing, all that, you need to pay for everything. Because if your children are not attending all these activities, it's like your own life has stopped. Their own case will not be different. So that's something that our brothers, our sisters in Africa need to understand. That this life is the same wherever you are. If you're facing problems in Nigeria, that someone in America is also facing problems. If you're having accommodation problem in Nigeria, so many people are homeless in America. That's how it is. That is how this life is. That's one thing we need to understand. That's something that you need to tell your parents, that that friend, that cousin that they saw that just returned from Indonesia with 300 million naira might be doing something that will land him or her in prison, and that you don't want to go to prison, because if you're in prison, your parents will keep living. So like this video if you find value in it, subscribe to the channel if you have not, and share our videos with your friends and family. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.